Okay, so here I'm going to open up the controls demo program again by opening up the Visual Studio solution, and that will load it into Visual Studio. And I've already used this program to discuss graphical user interfaces and event-driven programming, but now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the integrated development environment, and this will kind of be an introduction, and we'll see a lot more of this in the second module. So you'll see here, this is the actual what's called a form, and if I choose the form, I select the form. You know, you can always resize it if you want to, if you don't like the size of it. But I'm going to select this, and over in my Properties window, now we've already talked about the setup. You want to have the Solution Explorer, the Properties, and the Toolbox. And if you don't see any of them, you can go into View, and you can click Solution Explorer, Toolbox, or Properties window. Okay, and once you open them, there's always a push pin if you want to keep them open. But if I just choose the form down in my Properties window, you'll see that you have all these different properties that are available for the form. Okay, and these are things you can change. Right here you see some text, controls demo. That's the actual text that appears right here at the title bar of the form. So if you wanted to, you know, you can change that, and then you'll see it changed in the title bar. But there's lots of options for the form, and we're not going to, you know, kind of go into all of those now. But you'll also see, you know, we just looked at the text, but in here you'll also see a name. Sorry here. Okay. And the name is Form 1. Now the name Form 1 is an internal name. It's like a variable name that represents the form within the code. Now over here you'll see this puts these in categories like focus, layout. I kind of prefer myself to put these in alpha order by clicking on this button so that I can find everything a little bit easier. And when you put it in alpha order, the name always just appears at the top, and then all of the other properties down here in alphabetical order. So you could see if I choose, for instance, let me just click on the button here. Over here you'll see the name, BTN close, and this module talks a little bit about prefixes, and BTN is a prefix for a button. And then it shows you all the different properties of the button itself. And some, if you look at, you might, you know, recognize, like the font and the font size for the text, and some, you know, maybe you won't recognize, and that's okay. We'll learn a lot more about all this stuff. You know, text says the word close. The text alignment is middle center, so it's middle center in there. And again, all of these have the same thing. You know, if I come over here and I click here on Combo Box, right, you'll see a name and you'll see all the properties. If I click here, right, experiment with these controls. You know, the name of this is label. Really, we want to use the LBL prefix, but it's just label at this point. You know, and here's the text, experiment with these controls. So every time you select something over here, you can see the properties for that. And on the left-hand side in the toolbox is what allows us to drag new controls onto the form. Now, the other thing that I want to show you is the code. So we've talked about this. This is the design, and this is, here is the actual code. And in here you'll see all of the code and what's happening when people do things on the form. Let's see. If I click on the button close, it does this little operation, me.close, which just closes the application. You know, if I choose the checkbox, it'll come in and it'll execute this code. If it's checked, it'll say the checkbox is checked. Otherwise, it's unchecked. Now, you don't have to worry about any of this code. I'm just showing you that that's, well, you don't have to worry about it yet, showing you what's in there. Okay. The other thing is when you want to just run your application, right here, this is your start button. And here you'll see the application actually running. I'll just slide this around. So this is the form running. This is just the design code in the background, right, where you can pick a pet or check the checkbox or whatever the case might be. I can close this with the close button. I can close this with an X. But really, it's just about as easy as that. So let's just talk about a few things. These are your typical, you know, opening, closing things, saving things. It's always a good idea probably to do a save all before you actually go in and close out of this, or just close your solution, which is this one project. You can see there's, you know, a find and a replace and a cut, copy, and paste. Sorry. Here I talked about this view will allow you to go into different parts of the integrated development environment. You know, some of this we'll be talking about through the semester. We'll be adding, you know, new items in. So, you know, initially just to get started, it's really pretty easy. I'm just kind of running through these quickly to see if there's anything, you know, there's not too much out here really that you need to know right away. This will allow you to move the, you know, the different windows, like or the toolbox and things around. You know, this is kind of the setup that I tend to use myself. Let's see. So what do we have here? You can go backwards or forwards. This is just your new project button, another way to create a new project, or open a file, or save a file, or save all. So these are all pretty standard Windows things, but again, start is really what you need. So that should be enough to get you started for this module, and we'll be revisiting even more in the next module.